Can we convince you to become a K-pop stan? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to today's episode. We are your chaotic but cathartic co-hosts. I am Jamila.
I'm Vicky.
I'm Sharon.
Cool. So for today, we are talking about our experience with K-pop. We are all pretty new to the scene. We really just got into it this quarantine.
Is this GOT7 versus BTS? Disclaimer, we're not actually, fighting fandoms. It's just 2 out of the 3 people here are GOT7 stans and a lone one is a BTS stan.
Okay, I'm starting to watch BTS stuff,
I know.
So we actually show each other like BTS and GOT7 music and try to get each other into it, or even like variety show content. So we are very compromising.
You guys should see our group chat. That's all we talk about.
I want to start off by asking, because I don't really know exactly. The question is, how did you guys get into K-pop? And more specifically, how did you get into GOT7?
So my story, I remember everything. I remember every milestone of how I got into certain people, how I got into GOT7. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Basically, this started in November of 2019. So I was studying abroad in Beijing, and Jackson Wang is really popular in China because of his solo activities. And then I remember one night I was just bored and I stumbled upon his interview with James Corden. And then I started watching that. It was where James Corden and Jackson shared the cultures. So the Chinese culture and the British culture. And I remember, oh my God, this guy's pretty cool. I've heard of Jackson before, but never really listened to his music or got into him. But he was exactly opposite of what I thought he would be like. I thought he was this kind of cool guy, but he was actually super down to earth, super funny. So then that's how I started watching more of his interviews. And then he also co-hosts a really popular show in China. As a host, he does a really good job. He's super funny. So that's when I really got into Jackson from Stay Abroad. That's how I also found out that he was in a Korean boy band called GOT7. And I listened to one of their songs because they had a comeback in November of 2019. And then quarantine started. So that's when I started getting to GOT7 more and discovering them. And then I listened to their songs. I was like, oh my God, that's pretty good. And I started watching their interviews. So I really fell for their personalities. But the moment I think really got into GOT7 was when I watched the Never Ever music video and Mark Huang came on for a brief, I think it was literally 2 seconds. In this one scene, I was like, holy crap, this guy's really good looking. And then I Googled him and I was like, oh my God, he's from Arcadia. He's from 626. That's crazy. I know where that is. That's so close to me. And I have friends from there. I know where Arcadia is. And I just got so excited about that. And then I remember that was the moment where I was questioning. I was like, I don't think I'm a Jackson bias anymore. I think I'm a Mark bias. And then I just fell into the hole of getting to know the other members and really just listening to all their music. And here I am now, a few months later.
Wow, what a journey.
Basically, in short, Jackson was the person who introduced me to the black hole, and Mark basically pushed me into the black hole. And then all the members just fell into a black hole, and then they basically just stacked themselves on top of me, and I can't escape now.
That's a good way to say it.
Okay, what
Sharon,
about you,
go.
Vicky? No, Vicky, you go.
Oh my God, we're going to talk about GOT7 back to back. So my first group was not GOT7. So how I got into K-pop in general was a friend recommended me a Chinese drama. It's called A Little Thing Called First Love. It's on Netflix. 10 out of 10 would recommend. The main guy, he's really attractive, and I was like, let me learn more about this Chinese actor. I was looking at him up, and apparently he was a K-pop star before he went to film dramas. And that happens a lot, for those who don't know. People in China and also a lot of Asian Americans go and become Korean idols to start their fame. And so I looked him up, and then I found his group, which is called 101. My bias was Edward Lai. Edward Lai. I know his name, I swear. And so I was like watching all their stuff because I really liked him as a person and also like his songs and stuff with his group. But then I wasn't very invested in them because one, they only lasted like a year and a half. And so they were already disbanded, and I only cared for him because the whole group was 11 people. Like I didn't even know half of their names and I couldn't follow up. And that was like my introduction to K-pop. And then Jams, and also I have one other friend who's really into K-pop. They both like told me about GOT7, but Jams specifically like really pushed me towards GOT7. I think my like first ever watching their stuff and not listening to their music was watching their Hard Carry series, which is like the reality show that they did. So I watched all like 2.5 seasons that they did, and I was like, they are so funny. And I started watching more and more stuff. And then I got into Jackson Wang, who is my bias, because homie speaks Cantonese. Like that is so hard to find. Like he's from Hong Kong. So I was like, oh my god, he speaks Cantonese, speaks Mandarin, great at English, speaks Korean. I don't know what other languages he speaks. And I was like, wow, and he's so attractive, and he's older than me, because Edward Lai, my original bias, is 3 years younger than me, and I felt so weird being like, oh my god, he's cute, and then I was like, ugh, he's 18, and so I found Jackson Wang, and I was like, he's 26, everything I want in a man, it's like, this is it, and then now I'm all about GOT7.
Dude, I'm like 95% confident that if I got to Vicky first, she would be a BTS fan right now. So good job, Jamila.
Okay, I think she would ultimately still like GOT7 just because Jackson's a lot more relatable to her.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But I guess I want to add in one more thing was I actually got into K-pop a lot earlier. I wanted to get in, but introduced to genre when I was in middle school. So like 2010 was when K-pop really start to take off, with Big Bang, Girls' Generation, the second generation of K-pop idols. So I think compared to you two, I got into it a lot earlier, but it's just I really got stuck into it this quarantine.
Okay, y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Dude, Sharon was literally low-key anti-K-pop in the beginning, so she's made a 180.
Let me explain. Okay, so I'm pretty Americanized. Even though like my native language is Korean, I never connected with my culture because my friends like growing up weren't Asian. So then I was never into that K-pop scene. And honestly, the only reason why I got into BTS is probably because of Jamila. Because like Jam said, she got into K-pop and she was like pushing for GOT7 content. But then I was always like, thank you, but no, just not for me. What happened was during quarantine, I was at one point super into One Direction. It's because it was their 10-year anniversary. So I fell into that hole first. And I would watch their James Corden One Direction carpool karaoke religiously. And because of that, one day the BTS James Corden carpool karaoke popped up. And I was like, you know what? Let me just try. So I remember this specifically. I opened that video on incognito because I didn't want it to mess with my YouTube algorithm. So I watched it and I was like really pleasantly surprised because it was funny to me. There was only one person that caught my eye, and it was V, his name is Taeyong, because I don't know, he carried this mysterious, like really attractive, deep aura, and I was like, this one's interesting. That was pretty much it. But then all the comments were like, it all started with this video, or it just started because I wanted to know their names or whatever. And then as the days went by, I would just casually look up what are their names or whatever. And then if I ever were to watch a video, I would always go on incognito because again, I didn't want to mess with the algorithm. From there, I knew that they were really good performers, or I heard. So the first video that I watched was their Jimmy Fallon On performance at like Grand Central Station in New York. And I was blown away because I'm a dancer, and so I relatively know like what's really hard. And that dance is so hard, and they were singing. So I was like shook. And then from there, I started getting into their music. Their music was really, really good. And then I just overall respected the culture of how hardworking like K-pop industry idols are. And so it was just respect. But then I started watching like their variety show Run BTS, and I started watching YouTube videos that were about the way that they grew up and how some of them came from really like they didn't have money growing up and stuff like that. And I think that's what really got to me. And long story short, they're literally so devoted to their fans, and I have never seen an artist do everything for their fans, talk about their fans all the time. They cry for their fans. Like Jungkook literally has army tattooed on his hand and he relaxed. That's basically how I got into BTS.
Sharon has been sending us videos to watch of BTS, and I think I've decided that Jungkook is my bias in BTS.
That is so interesting to me.
He's so funny.
I feel like Sharon's story seemed a lot more in depth and with a lot more good reasons. Where me and Vicky were like, yeah, they're like really attractive.
I mean, that's fine too.
I swear, on both me and Vicky's account, we love their personality. Like both of us, we got into GOT7 because of personality, but it definitely helps that they're like super good looking.
I think for anybody, objectively speaking, BTS is a good way to start because they have, I don't know, like their music is very diverse, but you guys could argue about that for GOT7 too, right? So like, maybe I'm just biased.
I listened to BTS before I listened to GOT7. So I never got into BTS as like a group more than the music, but I listened to their music first. I could see why people are into BTS a lot because they have a lot of different styles of songs. And I feel like there's always something for everyone. Where I could see in GOT7, they do have different styles and stuff, and they're definitely incorporating their own, each member's own style into it as they produce more songs. But I think up until now, it's not as diverse as like BTS.
And I guess it's because I'm the only Korean in the group of 3, and BTS primarily just speak Korean, except for the leader, whose name is Arm. He speaks English, so he translates. So I can see why it's easier for you guys to stand GOT7 because they speak, like you said, Canto, Mando, English. Versus for me, my native language is Korean, even though I suck at it now. It's easier for me to relate. So I think that's also why. Yeah, it's getting better.
Also, I feel like not just for our stans, but like K-pop in general, I think I have opened up or like liked K-pop more because of how much respect I have for the industry and how different it is from American music industry. I think the biggest difference that I've seen is like K-pop idols, there's nothing that they can't do. They're trained to do everything from dancing to rapping to singing. They don't fall into a specific genre of music. So for American industries, like when you're an artist, you either fall as like an R&B artist, a hip hop person, or like all of those genres. But for idols, they like cover every single ground. So like if you listen to different albums from the same group, it could sound completely different. And I think I have mad respect for people who invest so much into learning everything, and that's like very admirable to me.
And to Sharon's point earlier about how K-pop idol groups, they really connect and they really engage with their fans. I'm not saying that Western artists don't, but it's definitely a whole different level with K-pop idol groups. Because prior to that, I never felt like a super connected with an artist, I guess, other than Millennium, because I really, like his music, but I never felt as connected as I do to GOT7 because, members of these idol groups, they go on lives to, talk to their fans. And their first thought is always like, how do I improve for our fans? How do we create something new for our fans? And I think that's also super admirable.
So what's like a good representation of how GOT7 caters to their fans or how they do everything for their fans, like you mentioned? Do you have an example?
Well, song-wise, they dedicate to their fans. When they tell the story, they're like, oh, I am either standing in the perspective of a fan or I'm writing to a fan. And like an example of the song is Thank You by GOT7. They have talked about that song for their fans.
Okay, so for recently, like they haven't came back since April, so it's been a really long time. And in the K-pop industry, usually idol groups come back every few months. So for them to not have come back for almost, I think, 7 months now is really long for a K-pop group, and I am getting freaking desperate. I've been watching so much of their older content because they've been offline for so long. Like all the members have been really kind of sorry about it. They keep saying like, please wait for us, like please don't leave us. And they're just being really apologetic about it. And I think that just shows how deeply they care for fans. Like they know we've been waiting and they know that we've been patient with them. So they try to be present for us in other outlets. So for example, like Youngjae, he used to host a radio show for a bit. So we got to see a little bit of him. And then Jackson had his solo activities in China. So I think it's these little efforts that really show us like they care, and that even though they're not together as a group, that they still want to be here for us like individually.
For you guys, you know how you're like, oh, I'm desperate for more content, versus right now I'm I'm literally drowning in content.
Yeah.
Like I can't keep up and I don't know how they do it because for example, since quarantine, BTS have been like nonstop working. They have their variety shows. They were on like a week-long Jimmy Fallon performance stuff. They just hosted like a virtual 2-day concert and I'm just like,
Dude, must be nice, huh, Sharon?
dude, I can't keep up.
know. I wish I had that issue.
I'm watching like compilations of the best GOT7 clips or anything like that, and I've watched each clip probably at least 10 times. I'm still laughing my ass off. And I'm actually wearing Jackson merch.
You should show the back. The back is
okay.
the
If you guys watch a video version of this, I'm wearing if you guys are watching the audio version of this, I'm basically just wearing the Team Wing merch that Jackson came out with a while back. But if you guys want a video version of this, here it is. It's Team Wing. It's really simple. It's black. And the back, it just says,
more. There it is.
And it's cool because my last name is Wang, so it just feels like, Jackson custom made it for me.
Dude, look at us being promo queens. Look,
I know.
I literally have a gin BTS coffee thing right now.
Wait, why did you get gin?
Don't worry, I have Jimin and Tae. I already drank it.
Are you keeping the bottles?
Of course I am.
Also, something I wanted to talk about is like, obviously nobody's perfect, but how idols are portrayed as like they're really perfect and their personality and stuff. But to speak on fans' love and dedication to these idols is insane. Not gonna lie, Western culture could never, because for fans that are into K-pop and stuff, they literally like love with no condition for these men. An example would be a lot of these fans organize fundraisers to donate money to like orgs or like nonprofits in the name of their idol stan. That's crazy to me. Like, you're doing it so that someone else can look good.
Yeah, or even if it's like a member's birthday or something, then like coffee shops or boba shops will host like an event and raise, like you said, raise money and donate it to charity or something. And it's like, am I just uneducated in the Western culture, or is there nothing like that? And I think there's just nothing like that. And how there's so much content for you to watch, whether the idols have their own variety show or whatever. I think like Western culture, they just stick to like their music.
Are you guys expanding into other K-pop groups, or have you guys thought about expanding into other K-pop groups?
A little background to K-pop music. When people in other industries say K-pop music, they don't think about like Korean music also covers so many other genres. There's like hip hop, R&B, like that exists in Korean music. And so I've been trying to find songs and music that fall into that category because that's what I enjoy listening to when it comes to Western music. And so recently, someone who I've also been super obsessed with is PH1. He is so good. He's kind of, I would say, alternative hip hop, like Airbnb, R&B and hip hop kind of music. His voice, his rapping, singing, like so good, and his vibes in general are very, very chill. He's in a couple podcasts that I've listened to, and his voice is just amazing. I could fall asleep to his voice.
It's interesting because now like Jam and Vicky have been sending me song recs from like other groups, and I've noticed that it's a lot easier for me to like K-pop music than it is for other genres. They both said I have very picky music taste, but I don't know, for K-pop it's a lot easier to like. And I think the genre K-pop might give like a misleading connotation because of the word pop, but
yeah,
like Vicky said, there's so many genres that artists or idols cover. So I think right now I just got into Jessie. You know how you recommended that song?
Yeah.
I watched a video of her and she's literally like unapologetically herself.
Yep.
And I love that. And then I started listening to her recent album and it slaps. So
yeah. Did you just say slaps?
She did.
Slaps.
I'm glad you didn't say smack. I would have been like, girl.
The one that I've been getting into is Monsta X. Okay, one reason is because there's literally no GOT7 content, and it's so sad. And like Jackson was in this one episode, like he's pretty close to another member on Monsta X. I can't say his name, and I don't want to butcher his name.
All the stands are to come after you.
So that's why I started getting into Monsta X. And then for anyone who's into Monsta X, like one of the members, Wonho, like he departed from the group early this year due to personal reasons. So I've been into his solo stuff too. And I'm not even like a Monsta X fan, but even my heart hurts seeing like old videos of him in there and the new videos that he's not in there anymore. And that just triggered a sadness. Like, what if one day GOT7 isn't GOT7, it's like GOT6 or something? And that made me so sad. And I don't even know why, like, that made me more sad than anything in the world right now. And that's kind of like worrisome.
Dude, I feel that too because I've been telling you guys, like, Jin has to go to the Korean military. So, like, what's gonna happen in the 2 years? It just makes me sad.
But like BTS will never not be together for a long while is what I feel because they are international, like big.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like, you never know, you know? I don't know why Jam won't get into BTS. I'm just kidding.
Gets into every K-pop group.
I know.
I don't have an explanation for it. I wish I do. So I thought we could give our top 3 songs of the group that we like. So first, Vicky and I will be GOT7. For Sharon, it will be BTS. Top 3 is really hard, for sure, because I have 2 playlists. One of them is called Best of 7, which is my favorite GOT7 songs, and that's already like 20 songs. And then there's my overall GOT7 playlist, where it's like literally every song that I like by them, which is a lot too.
Are you guys proud of me? I have a K-pop playlist now, and it's called Soul, but it's spelled S and the E in parentheses and then OUL. So it's like Seoul, like Korea, but like Seoul. Okay, Vicky.
So I have a playlist also of all the songs that I've ever liked from GOT7, and I'm gonna be real, I haven't listened to every single one of their songs yet. I kind of listen as I go. I am. They have so many albums.
But Vicky's also been trying like BTS and like she's been exploring.
I've been finding Western music, R&B, hip hop, Korean music, and GOT7 music. Okay. Dude, I think I've made like 7 new playlists since quarantine. Like not even like March quarantine, but after I graduated, so since June. And I've been trying to explore music for every playlist. It's been hard, okay, Jamila? Okay, in no particular order, because I can't do that. My top 3 are Thursday, Crash and Burn, and then Teenager by GOT7.
Okay, so Thursday and Crash and Burn, it's not that I don't listen to them, it's in my playlist, but it's definitely not up there for me. If anything, it's like more on the lower end for me.
I love those songs. But Teenager?
Oh, hey, Teenager's more up there for me, but it's not like up there for me. Okay, so for my 3 songs, oh my god, this is so hard. I'm choosing from like 20 songs. Okay, I have a little bit bias towards this one because Mark composed and produced it, but I really like Let Me, and he also has an English version of it, and it's just really cute. Good. So that's one of my favorite. The second one is Runaway, because JB's ad-libs in that song is freaking insane. If you guys want to listen to it, go to 304. I think it's 304 or 324. Listen to it. And the third one is You Calling My Name, because they look so good. Those suits, man, and those voices, and Young's those falsettos are so good. If anyone is interested in, wanting my entire playlist, just let me know. I'll most definitely send it to you.
Okay, the first one would probably be On, because it was the first BTS song that I ever listened to and the first performance that I saw. And then the second one is probably Magic Shop, because the lyrics in Magic Shop is basically a metaphor for like therapy, kind of. It's dedicated to their fans, where it's like, we'll be your magic shop. We'll be there for you in times of need, or when you need help, or when you're at your low. Like, we hope that you can come to us, that kind of thing. And then my third one at the moment is probably Idol, because basically they got a lot of shit from the rap community when they first became like BTS, because it was like girly or like whatever they were doing. So Idol is basically like, I'm an idol. Like, it's a really big flex song. So those 3 are probably my favorite. Do you guys have like a top 2 or 3 favorite BTS songs? Because I have like top 2, 3 favorite GOT7 songs.
You do?
My favorite is Seesaw, which is Suga's solo. That song is just so good. I could have it on repeat. I'll never get sick of it. I also really like Fake Love.
Dude, I don't know if I do. I haven't listened to them enough to kind of like have top 3. So Sharon has sent me a lot of songs. We had like a whole talk one night where we just sent each other recommendations. And I think one of my top albums from BTS would be Love Yourself or like Cancer, that 2018 album, because every song that was recommended from that album I've added into my playlist.
I think my favorite GOT7 songs are My Youth and I Am Me.
Both
Oh my god, I
produced by
showed you I Am
Jonghyun.
Me.
I'm telling you, my ears know talent.
He's so attractive too.
Maybe also we feel more connected to our stans because they're so busy with their professional life that they don't have time to date. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of BTS songs aren't all about love. It's like about other stuff. So maybe that's why we just feel more connected to them.
Maybe.
So basically, moral of today's episode is give BTS or GOT7 or K-pop a try. Literally knock it. Is it knock it before you try it?
Don't knock it.
Don't knock it before you try it. There will be more content like this to come up. If you guys have a favorite K-pop group or if your stans are GOT7 or BTS, leave your bias in the comments below.
And we hope that we somewhat convinced you to become a K-pop stan, because we were 3 very non-K-pop stans and we got into it.
Trust me, I was the last one in this group ever to have gotten into K-pop, and if I could do it, you could do it too.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
also find us on Instagram at After Hour Happy Hour, where the hour is spelled HR, where you can see previews of next episodes and snippets into our personal lives. See you next time.
Bye.